Guys, this is Mr. Joshy J, and this is your review at the Monaco Formula 1 Grand Prix. Well, before I start off the review, race rating 0 out of 10. The worst Monaco Grand Prix I've ever watched in all my life. It's so boring, no overtaking, and not one single safety car. I think the best bit of overtaking action we saw was when Mick Schumacher passed Nikita Mazepin, but apart from that, that was absolute horseshit Grand Prix at Monaco. Really was. I know you can hardly overtake at Monaco, but to have no safety car and hardly any overtaking, just an absolute bore fest. But huge drama before the start of the Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc went out, Ferrari rolled the dice hoping the gearbox wasn't damaged, but unfortunately the gearbox was damaged on Charles Leclerc's car because he radioed in saying no, the gearbox is playing up. So he come into the pits. Ferrari tried the software reset but didn't fix the issue. It's like a broken flywheel or something what caused the gearbox to go wrong. Because the minute you crash into the wall on these Formula 1 cars, the gearboxes are so fragile. So that is rotten luck for Charles Leclerc. Yet again at his home Grand Prix, let down by reliability and that. So, but unfortunately, it was Charles Leclerc's mistake. But how I was absolutely devastated for him and devastated for this team. Scuderia Ferrari, because, you know, Ferrari recently have been absolutely useless, but to get pole position, but only to have it taken away by the broken gearbox, so harsh on Charles Leclerc. So Max Verstappen started on pole, afterwards Bottas second. Bottas actually got a really good start. Verstappen had to go all aggressive to cover Bottas off, but since then, hardly any overtaken whatsoever. Fauci Bottas, my goodness me, he gets so much bad luck. He has absolutely no luck whatsoever. He came into the pits and 3 wheels came off, but the other one just would not come off. You know, the wheel gun jammed a bolt or something, and that was Fauci Bottas out of the race. Devastating, because he outperformed Lewis Hamilton all weekend. A bitterly disappointing weekend to the whole Mercedes team and for Lewis Hamilton, because he's now lost the championship lead and Max Verstappen leads by 5 points. But Red Bull usually do well at the street circuits. But in the interview yesterday, what Christian Horner said is a good result for us with our closest rival down in 7th. I thought that was a bit unacceptable and uncalled for, you know, trying to dig at your rival like that, because there's no way Toto Wolff would have said that. I'm not just saying that because I'm a Lewis Hamilton fan, it's because I just believe that was out of order by Christian Horner. So, but Max Verstappen wins the Grand Prix ahead of Carlos Sainz, who finishes P2. Lando Norris, P3. Absolutely fantastic result for Lando Norris. Driver of the day, I'm going to have to give it to Sebastian Vettel, finishing 5th. That's an unbelievable result for Vettel and Aston Martin. They finished 5th and 8th, so some really good points, the Aston Martin team, who have been struggling for pace recently, so that's a welcome relief for them. But the whole Grand Prix was just an absolute bore fest, so I'm not going to talk about it for much longer. I'm just going to get on to the driver ratings and team ratings. Okay, so we always start off with Mercedes on the driver ratings. Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton, 4 out of 10. An absolute disaster weekend for the world champion. Just could not get the car to work, and the setup was poor. just he couldn't pass anyone in the race, and by the time he come out in the pit stop, he lost 2 or 3 positions. So an awful weekend. The 7-time world champion who loses the championship lead and just could get absolutely nowhere near the front this weekend. Bitterly disappointing. Now, I'm a massive Lewis Hamilton fan, but he struggled in qualifying and in the race, so you had to mark him down and only give him a 4 out of 10 this weekend, unfortunately, for Lewis Hamilton. Valtteri Bottas, 8 out of 10. I thought until he had that problem, he's been absolutely superb this weekend, Valtteri Bottas. So him retiring from the race, absolutely devastating. You know, qualified to P3, and if it wasn't for Leclerc crashing out, he could have easily been first or second. Well, in the end, he was second because unfortunately Charles Leclerc didn't start the race. So yeah, but bitterly disappointing for Bottas. It's like he needs a bit of luck, and Mercedes, what are you doing with your pit stops recently? You're a fantastic team, but you got to work on your pit stops. Red Bull, Max Verstappen, 10 out of 10. Just a perfect weekend. Probably would have took pole position if it wasn't for Leclerc crashing out. So it was been very close between Leclerc or Verstappen, but because Leclerc crashed out, Verstappen had his final lap ruined, but dominated the Grand Prix, totally dominated the Grand Prix, so well-deserved victory. Sergio Perez, 6 out of 10. He had a good race, poor in qualifying, so I think that's why I'm marking him down. You know, qualifying, Sergio Perez needs to improve, but race pace is really decent by the Mexican driver, but he still needs to improve a little bit, I think. McLaren, Lando Norris, 8 out of 10. Really good weekend for the British driver. Qualified P5 and finished on the podium, so a brilliant weekend for Lando Norris. Daniel Ricciardo, 0. An awful weekend for the Australian. One of his worst weekends for a long time. P13 in qualifying and P13 in a race. Shocking weekends for the Australian driver. Ferrari, Charles Leclerc, 6 out of 10. Now, I would love to give him a 9 or a 10, but you got to mark him down for that mistake in qualifying. You know, to damage the car and ruin your gearbox. Poor by Charles Leclerc, but absolutely devastating he could not start that race. It really was, but it was just, devastating for him. But as I said, you got to mark him down for making that mistake and crashing out with qualifying. Carlos Sainz, 9 out of 10. I think he's been very solid this weekend. You know, qualified to P4 and finished P2 in the race. Absolutely fantastic. I'm sure he would have loved to go on for the race victory, but Verstappen was just too quick for him in the end. So, nice weekends by Carlos Sainz. Alpine, Fernando Alonso, 3 out of 10. Yeah, not a great weekend for Fernando Alonso. Really struggled in qualifying, of course. Monaco hardly overtake. So, yeah, disappointing weekends for the Spaniard. I think that's how you say it. Esteban Ocon, 6 out of 10. Decent in qualifying, but couldn't really move up in a race. So, yeah. AlphaTauri, Pierre Gasly, 7 out of 10. A really good weekend. You know, P6 in qualifying and finish ahead of Lewis Hamilton in the Grand Prix. So, that is absolutely fantastic by Pierre Gasly. Yuki Tsunoda, 5 out of 10. Yeah, I'm not going to give him 0 this time because He's never really driven around Monaco before, only on the simulator or on the F1 2020 game. So, yeah, 5 out of 10 for Yuki Tsunoda. A solid weekend, I would say, for Yuki Tsunoda. Aston Martin, Sebastian Vettel, 10 out of 10. Yep, my driver of the day, absolutely fantastic. And what a massive confidence booster this is going to be for Sebastian Vettel. After all this time struggling for pace, he gets a result like that, just sensational. P5 and got into Q3, so really good weekend for Sebastian Vettel. Lance Stroll, 6 out of 10. Decent in the race, but got to mark him down a bit. Wasn't the best in qualifying, so 6 out of 10 for Lance Stroll. Alfa Romeo, Kimi Raikkonen, 2 out of 10. Again, another disappointing weekend for the Finnish driver. Got outperformed by Antonio Giovinazzi all weekend. Antonio Giovinazzi, 9 out of 10. P10 in qualifying and scores Alfa Romeo a point in the race. That is absolutely fantastic results, and that point could be very crucial come the end of the season. So, great weekends by Antonio Giovinazzi. Haas, Nikita Mazepin, fair play. You know, I've been criticising him a lot this season, but 7 out of 10. Obviously, the Haas didn't have any pace, but he kept it out of the wall, so give credit where it's due for Nikita Mazepin. He gets his critics, but I'm really going to praise him up this weekend. He's superb. Mick Schumacher, 5 out of 10. Not the best weekend to Mick Schumacher this weekend. You've also got to mark him down for damaging his car in FP3 and not being able to participate in the qualifying. So, yep, and I believe Mick Schumacher was asked to move over during the race to allow Nikita Mazepin through. Now, he passed Nikita Mazepin on the first lap, Mick Schumacher, which that was the best overtake in the day down at the hairpin. Really, the only overtake of the day. That says a lot about this Grand Prix, but, you know, yeah, nice move there by Mick Schumacher, but not the best of weekends, you know. Got beaten by Mazepin all weekend, really, Mick Schumacher this weekend. Williams, George Russell, Mr. Saturday, who made it to Q2 once again. 7 out of 10. Really good in qualifying, but as you can hardly overtake in Monaco. Couldn't really move up too many positions in the race. Team ratings, Mercedes, 2 out of 10. Disastrous weekend for the Mercedes team, you know, with that pit stop to Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton really struggling for pace. So, yeah, 2 out of 10. Not the best weekend for the World Champions Mercedes. Red Bull, 8 out of 10. Great weekend for Max, but again, marking them down a bit because of poor qualifying by Sergio Perez. McLaren, 9 out of 10. Great. Well, actually, 7 out of 10 because you got to mark them down because Daniel Ricciardo's poor weekend. So it's a great weekend for Lando Norris. Ferrari. Now, if they had a really strong result, no doubt it would have been 10 out of 10, but they rolled the dice with Leclerc's gearbox and it didn't pay off, so you got to mark them down. 6 out of 10. Great weekend for Carlos Sainz, but an absolute disaster for Charles Leclerc. Really was. Alpine, 6 out of 10. Standard weekends for them, really. Aston Martin, 9 out of 10. A really solid weekend for them. AlphaTauri, 6 out of 10. Solid to them again. Alfa Romeo, 5 out of 10. Good weekend to Antonio Giovinazzi, but poor Kimi Raikkonen. Haas, 4 out of 10. Decent weekend to Mazepin, but gotta mark them down a bit because that error what Mick Schumacher made. And Williams, 6 out of 10. Yeah, really standard weekend to the Williams team. But that is the driver ratings done, team ratings done, and the race review and the Monaco Grand Prix. Yep, we're off to Baku next in 2 weeks' time. Azerbaijan, another street circuit, so it's going to be really interesting, that race, but didn't really talk much about the race because what's the point? It was such a piss poor race, so yeah. Comment your thoughts down below, I will always reply, and my Manchester United review is still on the way later, but as I didn't see the game live, I'm going to watch it on Match of the Day. Bye bye.